We start with a quiz. The quiz question: what one group of food have substantial studies demonstrating that to satisfy your hunger, to keep you full throughout the day, to have a second meal effect in lowering your sugar spike, that contains bioactive compounds that are antioxidant, antibacterial, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, and that have cardioprotective properties, and that boost your health and add years to your life. Wow, what is this wonderful food group?
Whole meal.
Whole meal. Any other guesses? It is definitely whole.
Grain.
We had whole grain as the topic last week. Okay, ta-da! The answer is legumes, beans, peas. They are the best meat, plant-based meat replacement. Okay, they are actually the better meat. So these beans and legume family, legume just mean the pot with the beans inside. Okay. And peas usually are the fresh peas that you can cook much faster than if you use dried legumes. When you cook dried legumes, you must first soak them, preferably overnight, and then throw away the soap water, and then cook well until it's soft. Otherwise, you will have more flatulence, okay, more music. These are the cornerstone of centenarian diet. You know, centenarians are those who live more than 100 years old. And beans are the staple food of countries like South America, Mexico, and Africa, India, etc. Okay, and even Japan, they use a lot of soybean, right? It's a high protein food, but yet low in fat, very high in fiber, has a low glycemic index, which is good for diabetics. Actually, this is one of the best food group for diabetics, but I know some may not have good tolerance to beans, so you will have to just go easy and do what you can to make sure that it doesn't bother you. Especially the lentils, they are easier to digest, okay? And beans really fill you full, all right? They are very good for diabetics because they are high in fiber and because they actually even affect the sugar level of the next meal. Imagine, not just the immediate meal, but the next meal too. That's why it's called the second meal effect. Okay, beans are loaded with nutrients, and you can look at the long list of nutrients here, including lots of phytochemicals. Alright, and on top of that, they are low in saturated fat and they have no cholesterol. So they beat meat anytime in terms of their nutrient profile, in terms of not having those things that are harmful to our health, that increase our heart disease risk. By comparison, we are going to look at how much one serving of beef has in protein, fiber, and folate. Folate is a vitamin that is very important for pregnant women because their fetus is still growing and multiplying, and is the vitamin that helps to multiply cells. Okay, and it's also important for many other purposes, including lowering your risk for heart disease. Then we'll compare it with a different kind of beans. Okay, looking at the second column there, protein, beef is high, 24, but soybeans are also high. In fact, actually 24 grams per serving of beef is super high. And we don't want to have too high a protein diet because protein ages you. That's why vegetarians tend to look younger, because they eat less protein, but they eat enough protein, okay? Fiber, beef and all meat have no fiber, 0. But the rest, look how high the fiber content is. This is per serving, you know. So you see lentils are high in fibers, split peas, okay, are also very high. Black bean also. You can make a brownie with black bean. We'll try that another time. Folate. Beef has only 11 microgram of folate, but look how high. The highest, I think, is pinto beans, 147 microgram per serving. 179 is where? Oh, lentils. You are right, lentils. Even the higher than the black beans, than the pinto beans. So, folate.
Iron.
No, iron is a different. Iron is a mineral. Folate is a vitamin.
B6.
But you need folate, B6 and B12 to lower blood homocysteine, which is a marker for heart disease, heart attack. Yeah, so usually these three go together in a supplement, but we rather get them from food. Folate, B6 and B12. Actually, folate itself is a B vitamin A. Okay, so legumes are good for cancer prevention. According to the AICR, who have a yearly report on the latest research on cancer, and they looked at 9 independent research teams. I mean, they comprise of 9 independent research teams from around the globe, all over the world. And they had a landmark scientific consensus report, which are reviewed by the top cancer researchers in the world. So it's really the scientists and the people who are knowledgeable in the field of cancer that scrutinize and examine these reports and make sure those studies are well done, reliable, and not, not statistically valid or not sound in any way. And their recommendation, among others, is to eat whole grains and or legumes with every meal for cancer prevention. Not every week or every day or every meal. Okay, but if you're not used to eating beans, as usually Chinese are not, then go gradually. Increase in incremental measures. Tofu should not be a problem.
But then the uric acid.
Okay. People like to blame beans for uric acid. Actually, beans do not have uric acid. They have purine, which is the amino acid that when the body cannot metabolize sufficiently, can build up uric acid. But the food group that has the highest amount of purine are not beans. They are the fish and the sweet meats, the organs of meat. Especially your sardine, your anchovy, okay, this kind of fish are very high in purine. And so if you were to go vegetarian, then actually now they say that beans, the phytates and other components in beans actually help to prevent gout and the build-up of uric acid. It was assumed that because it has purine, medium amount of purine, therefore it automatically will cause you to have high uric acid and gout. But it's an assumption. But when they put it to the test, then they find that the opposite is true. It's protective instead. Okay, so how do beans fight cancer? They have these antioxidant polyphenols, and there are many polyphenols. Okay, this will fight free radicals. How? Either by donating an electron, because they have extra electron and they don't get change themselves or become unequally paired, they remain non-radical, and so free radicals can cause damage and cause aging and can cause cancer. Okay, and lentils and chickpeas have the highest polyphenols. By the way, the 3 top beans that can prevent metastasis or spread of cancer are your garbanzo or chickpeas, your soybeans, and the other one is lupin, which is found in Australia. But you don't have to have lupin. You already have plenty of soybean and garbanzo here, and just use those to protect you. So this is good for people who already have cancer for their survival. Okay, it has anti-inflammatory properties. Okay? Inflammation is a sign that there is something wrong in the body, and the body is trying to arrest the problem. Okay, so beans are antioxidants, and there is zinc in beans which help the immune function, and so decrease oxidative stress to cells. Selenium and phytic acids also inhibit the growth of tumors. Okay, so all these will promote colon health, especially the short chain fatty acids that are produced by the gut bacteria, which feed on the fiber from the beans. Okay, saponins make up 2 to 3% of the soybean. Although they are poorly absorbed, they reduce cancer risk because they are also food for the friendly bacteria. Phytates also are antioxidants, can reduce colon and breast cancer risk, and they improve gut health. They regulate your immune system, and they attack inflammatory processes, especially in colon cancer survivors. Soy and GI cancers. Okay, a large study combining the result of 21 other studies found that eating high amounts of soybeans will lower your risk for stomach and GI cancers by 15%, especially for females because of the phytoestrogens. Okay, in Hawaii they had a study of 8,000 men, Japanese men. Okay, they followed them for 20 years, and those who ate tofu daily had less than 1/3 the risk of prostate cancer as those who ate it once a week. So tofu or soy protect both breast and prostate from cancer. Okay, tofu was the most protective of all the food studied. Now, if you look at the graph, the chart, I told you this. Chickpea, soybean, and lupin are the most potent in blocking the cancer metastasis enzyme MMP9. And the lowest one are the ones that do not trigger up this enzyme. Okay, this enzyme lead to cancer metastasis. So chickpea is the third one, and then you have soybean at the very end, which is the strongest in protection. Okay, and also lupin. Soybean also protect us from heart disease. And another study of more than 500,000 Chinese adults, they did not have heart disease to begin with, okay? And then they followed them forward in time. And they found that those who ate the highest amount of soy, like 4 times or more a week, compared to those who never ate soy, had 25% lower risk of deaths from heart attack. So it is good to enjoy your soy and look at all the varieties of soy you can find. But please read the ingredient list. Some of them are very high in sugar. Some of them have added oils. I do not recommend those kind. Okay, but if you use this in replacement of meat, then you can significantly lower total cholesterol by 9%, LDL cholesterol by 13%, triglycerides by 11%. Okay, soy can also reduce clot formation and plaque development. Okay, so you don't want clots to form in your arteries that can block blood flow. You see, especially if you already have a cholesterol plaque, and then you have a narrow passageway for the blood to flow. But as the blood flow, the red blood cell rub against the plaque, there's friction, so it will break. And then when it breaks, your immune system will be summoned to clot it, to coagulate it. And so when the clot forms and gets stuck there and blood cannot flow, then whatever is supposed to receive the blood and the oxygen, all that will die. If it happens in a large artery of your heart, you can get heart attack, and you can get sudden death from that also. Okay, so for therapeutic purposes, we want to eat 2 to 3 servings a day. This is talking about therapeutic. If you have to lower cholesterol, if you have to fight cancer, you want to lower diabetes, okay, go for more. But if you are healthy, no disease, whatever, you don't have to eat as much. Okay, although, I mean, if you want to lose weight, beans are good for losing weight. Okay, because they really fill you and you keep you full for a long time. You don't get hungry easily. Okay, we will learn how to do hummus next time. Okay, and sprout. This is something that is good to eat also. You have the tofu there, and that's baked beans. There are so many kinds of beans prepared in so many ways. So, beans and legumes have anti-obesity effect, meaning they help you to maintain healthy body weight, or if you are overweight, to bring it down. Okay, and also your waist circumference can decrease if it's too big. Cardioprotective effect because it doesn't have cholesterol, it lowers your cholesterol, it lowers your triglyceride, it lowers your blood pressure, it lowers heart rate, your pulse rate in other words. Increases vasodilation means increase the lumen of the blood vessel, the arteries for blood flow more readily. Instead of constricting, narrowing it, it enlarges it, dilates it. It decreases inflammation. It's anti-diabetic. It improves glycemic control. There's even better insulin sensitivity and decrease your HbA1c, which is a measure of your average over the month. It's also important for our gut health. Because it feeds the friendly bacteria. Then the friendly bacteria will produce short chain fatty acids. That's what SCFA stands for. And the short chain fatty acid actually protect your colon lining, okay, to prevent colon cancer, prevent inflammation. We already said that beans help with heart disease because they are low in saturated fat, because of their polyphenols, because of both soluble and insoluble fibers, and they reduce all the total and LDL cholesterol, lower pressure. And those who eat beans 4 times weekly have 14% reduced risk of coronary artery disease. That means heart artery disease. So there's other factors in beans that protect against heart disease are your folate, which your antioxidants, your magnesium. Magnesium relaxes the blood vessel. When you have cramps, leg cramps, maybe you can buy magnesium spray. It's great. Or make sure you eat enough magnesium, which are mainly found in your beans and your greens, green leafy vegetables. Okay. Fiber also lower both cholesterol and blood sugar. 1 serving of beans or legumes per day for 6 weeks can decrease the LDL cholesterol 5 points. Meta-analysis means that they take many studies and analyze them. Okay, and both the systolic and arterial blood pressure will reduce significantly in people with and without hypertension. Okay, beans are good for digestive health. It can prevent fatty liver disease. It can improve your intestinal barrier function, okay, both your small and large intestine. So you won't have leaky gut syndrome, okay. It increases the good bacteria, and I already talked about this short chain fatty acid, which can boost our immunity and reduce inflammation. Chickpea. I think we have chickpeas today. Okay, it has this soluble fiber called raffinose. It's an oligosaccharide. Okay, oligo means small or few. Saccharide means sugar. So it's short chain 3 to 9 bonds of sugar. And these are also fermented by the friendly bacteria to produce the short chain fatty acids. Okay, which are good for us because those reduce our inflammation and protect the colon cells. Okay, for diabetes, beans itself have low glycemic load. Glycemic load, they compare to sugar, how fast the sugar is absorbed and goes into the blood. And for kidney beans, it's super low. Okay, so it will prevent blood sugar spikes, even with a second meal effect. That means the next meal, the sugar will not go up too high. It's kind of modulated by the fiber in the beans.
But is there any sugar?
Is there any sugar in beans?
Yes.
It has carbohydrate, but it's the complex carbohydrate, mainly fiber and starches, not refined sugars. And it will normalize HbA1c level, like drugs, but without the harmful side effects that drugs give you. Okay, this is talking about the second meal effect. So if you eat cooked beans, you don't even get half the blood sugar spike from the same amount of carbs in bread, pasta, or potato. If you have lentils and another bread at breakfast, even with the same meal at lunch, you have less of a glycemic reaction. Okay. So this is a graph showing you the second meal effect. Okay. So it lowers the first one at the bottom is the first meal, and the second meal even lowers it more. So long-term use of beans can normalize your long-term blood sugar level. And acarbose is a diabetic medication that can give you such side effects as you see on the leg of somebody there, okay, which you don't want, I'm sure. So it's better to get it from food. Blood sugar is stabilized with beans because of resistant starch found in beans. Resistant starch, why it's called that, is because it resists digestion in the small intestine, so it goes on into the colon where the friendly bacteria will feed on them and produce the short-chain fatty acid, which protect us. Okay. More than 3,000 people in a study showed that those with the highest intake of lentils and other legumes had the lowest rates of diabetes. Actually, the protocol for good results for diabetic, whether type 1 or type 2, is to be on a greens diet, especially the first week, or at least first 4 days, where they eat nothing but green leafy vegetables. Actually, green leafy vegetable is very helpful in people with autoimmune disease and certain conditions that are really like full of different types of problems, like if they don't have spleen, they don't have, they've been in accident, and they have had a lot of damage to their body, and since that is the go-to diet for recovery. So it's wonderful that we do have many kinds of greens here in our country. Okay, nice to have a waistline like this, to be flat there. I'm working on mine. Okay, so you can slim tummy fat and improve the regulation of blood sugar, as well as improve insulin and cholesterol. Beans have more fiber, which takes longer to chew, so it slows you down in eating, so you don't eat too much too fast. Okay, and you also feel more full, and that fullness will last quite long. You don't feel hungry between meals. Okay, so you won't desire to snack. And that it contributes to a modest increase in caloric expenditure, meaning you use more energy. Okay, 40% of fiber is broken down during digestion, which reduces our caloric intake. So 22% lower risk of obesity. So all this help with weight control. Okay, increased lifespan. Do you know that is the most important predictor of survival in older people around the globe? Research looking at 5 cohorts in Japan, Sweden, Greece, and Australia found that only beans was associated with longer lifespan across the board. So if you want to eat beans, you have to plan the night before. You have to soak your beans first. Okay, last minute very hard. although they do soak in hot water, which hastens the process, but it's best to soak overnight. Some people even after soaking overnight, they sprout it for another day before they use it. Okay, so if you eat beans 4 times a week, you reduce your heart disease by 22%. If you eat 8, it says that if for every 20 grams of legumes you eat, okay, you live approximately 8 more years. And you know how much is 20 grams of legumes? Very little. It's just a handful. It's just 2 tablespoons, sorry. Yep, it's just 2 tablespoons. Of the dry. Yes. So it's not much. It's not much. So, and it's so inexpensive, isn't it? So beans increase your lifespan because it helps you with your weight control. We know that obese people have shorter lives. And we know fiber is a prebiotic also. That means it feeds the good bacteria. And good bacteria protect us from disease. And good bacteria keep the bad bacteria at bay from doing us harm. You know, people who get infections readily, easily, usually they have more bad bacteria. Or they get infected otherwise from the surrounding. But if you have strong immunity, even there's germ everywhere, you can still be protected. And beans are very nutrient dense. Okay, these things are important to the immune system, important for blood pressure control. And they also are good for the gut. So, can you imagine that beans are also good for your bones? That the phytates are actually, although they call them anti-nutrients, what a name, or misnomer, I would say. Okay, this is actually antioxidant. It actually block the formation of those bone-eating cells or osteoclasts and protect the osteoblasts or stimulate the bone-building cells. Okay, and so they protect against osteoporosis and fracture risk. Now there's a drug called Phytates that some people take to prevent osteoporosis. Okay, but look at that picture at the bottom. It's called osteonecrosis or eating into the bones. Okay, the bones actually get eaten up and die. Necrotic. So bones are also important for the planet because they can produce nitrogen themselves, okay, and they can feed a lot more people. So therefore they lower greenhouse gas because animals produce methane, which is a greenhouse gas, and other things that are pollutants. Okay, and you need less nitrogen fertilizers as a result. And then when it rains, the wash off from the soil and from the waste of the animal can cause more problem and pollution to the world. So it is better to grow beans to feed more people and to save the earth. So I've come to the end. Do you have any question? If not, we're ready for cooking demo.
Do we have to buy organic beans, especially for...
Good point you've raised up. Yes, it is best to buy organic beans. If you can afford it, it's best because especially soybean, I would say that of all beans, soybean, because soybean is the highest GMO bean of all beans. Okay, but if you grow your own beans, then you know you're not going to be putting those fertilizers or pesticide, herbicide, so it's safe. But otherwise, preferably soybean should be. I rather pay more and get organic soybean than buy the cheaper soybean. Okay. And it tastes better too, I find. So, in fact, in the States, it seems like at least 70% of their soybean are used to feed livestock. That's why they spray heavily. You know, they have planes that fly over and they spray the insecticide that way. So Unfortunately, that also affects the soil of the neighboring farms. That's why for things to be certified organic, they have to be a certain distance away from this, and so on. Okay, thank you. Let's go on to the cooking demo now.